Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teenaccounts.
Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts, the podcast that administers your weekly dose of spooky. I'm your haunted host, Jennifer, a spirit medium and your teller of ghost stories. This week, dear listener, I have collected for you stories of haunted hospitals. I've covered this topic years ago, and I'm surprised we never returned for a follow-up visit. I love these stories. After the spooky, stay for the spiritual. Join me at my séance table for a message from the spirits. As your medium, I open up the space for a spirit to come close, connected to someone listening to the podcast. See if this message tonight is for you. Also, speaking of spirits, I recently released a new in-studio spirit reading with my guests Donna and Carrie from the A Paranormal Chicks podcast. You can find that on March 22nd's episode of 2026. I've really enjoyed meeting them, and it's a bit of a showcase of my work as a medium and also how hilarious and thoughtful Carrie and Donna are. They're just such a joy to know. Go check out their podcast and check out my reading with them. You'll find it wherever you're listening right now. But first, let's focus on tonight's spooky. The ghost stories begin right now. I worked the night shift in the oncology wing, which meant long hours, dimmed lights, and the constant low hum of machines keeping people tethered to life. You get used to the sounds eventually, the beeping, the ventilators, coughing and shifting. What you don't get used to is the call light. Room 317's call light went off every night at exactly 2:15 a.m. The first time it happened, I assumed a patient needed help. I grabbed gloves, checked the chart, and went in. The room was empty. Bed made, no IV, no monitor, no patient. I figured admissions had moved someone and forgot to update the board. But the next night, at 2:15, the call light went off again. I stood at the desk, staring down the hallway, waiting for someone else to notice. No one did. Finally, I walked in, my heart pounding. Same thing, empty room. On the third night, curiosity got the better of me. I asked an older nurse about it. She went quiet and then said, "Oh, that room." She told me that years earlier, an older woman had died there alone, with no family and no visitors. She had been afraid to die by herself and pressed the call button constantly, even when no one could do anything more for her. She passed at 2:15 a.m. That night, when the call light went on, I didn't rush in. I stood outside the door and whispered, "You're not alone." The light shut off, and it never came back on again. I worked nights at a small hospital where the nurses' station sat in the middle of a long, silent hallway. Fluorescent lights buzzing softly, monitors blinking like tired eyes that never fully closed. There was a rolling chair at that station that no one liked. It wasn't broken, the wheels worked fine, but it never stayed where you left it. At first, it was subtle. You'd push it under the desk, turn your back, and when you looked again, it might be angled slightly, like someone had just stood up from it. We joked about it and blamed uneven floors, airflow, anything that felt normal. Then it started moving farther. One night, I came back from checking vitals and I found the chair sitting directly in front of the main hallway, blocking the path. No one else had been near the station. I rolled it back, feeling a little silly for the chill that was creeping up my spine. An hour later, it was back in the same spot. After that, it began showing up in places that made no sense, such as outside the patient rooms, at the end of the hall, once even pressed up against the glass of a locked supply closet. Always like it had been carefully placed. The moment that broke me came around 3 a.m. I was charting alone when I heard the unmistakable sound of wheels rolling slowly across the tile. I didn't look up right away. I told myself it was someone coming around the corner. And then the sound stopped. When I finally lifted my eyes, the chair was directly in front of me, and no one was there. After asking around, I finally uncovered the full story. Years earlier, a patient had spent weeks parked in that exact station, unable to sleep, talking endlessly to the night nurses. Unfortunately, he had died suddenly during a shift change, sitting in the chair while waiting for some pain medication. After that, I stopped moving the chair. If it rolled up to the desk during the night, we'd leave it where it was. And strangely enough, once we did, that was the first time that station space ever felt calm. I've been working in the emergency room of an old hospital for 10 years. I've always heard terrifying stories about things that workers saw, and I always wanted to learn more because I'm curious about the paranormal. I had never experienced anything strange there myself. There were people who avoided going to certain places at night for fear of seeing something strange. Once, I agreed to do an extra shift. It was a night shift in a service where there were only a couple beds with mothers who had had their babies. Everything seemed to be going well until later in the shift we talked about who would go get the next round of supplies. I was surprised that no one wanted to volunteer, and since I hadn't been working that long, I offered to go. My coworkers handed me some keys and told me to be careful not to leave them in the door when I entered because they could lock me in. I was surprised and I laughed. I thought it was a joke to scare me. So I went and I opened the first door with the keys and took them out as they told me to do. One of my stops was a kitchen where there were many refrigerators with prepared milk. When I entered that room, I heard a loud alarm beeping. I didn't know where the noise was coming from until I passed the second door. I turned on the light and I saw one of the refrigerators was open and that's why an alarm was beeping. I went over and closed it. Then the silence seemed too heavy. It was rather uncomfortable. So much so that I became a little scared of being there alone. While leaning over to look for supplies, I felt a very cold air on my back. I told myself it was because of the refrigeration systems. But then I heard a murmur as if two people were whispering in my ear. I looked around quickly and there was no one there. I'm never afraid of being alone in places, but that night I was scared. I fought the urge to run, and then I felt paralyzed. I was also afraid of having to turn off the lights to leave. I paused for a moment, and I heard the whispering again, but this time they were clearer, and I heard, "I think she saw us." I left as quickly as possible, and I didn't tell my coworkers about this until the end of the shift in the morning. They told me that whenever they go there at night, they hear voices or find the refrigerator door open. And that even when passing through that hallway at night to go to the laboratory, they have seen the door handle move frantically, as if someone was trying to get out.
LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't predict the future, but it can help you feel confident about future hires. Because Hiring Pro combines real-time insights and candidate data from the LinkedIn network with the criteria you've set for your role to deliver you a list of top-fit candidates. Businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. Thank you for joining me here at my séance table for a message from the spirits. Tonight, as I work, I have with me blue lace agate. Blue lace agate is wonderful to help aid you with communication, any kind of throat chakra work. It also has very calming and balanced properties. And it's believed to facilitate communication with spirit guides and angels, helping you receive and interpret divine guidance. That is blue lace agate. At this time, I'm going to clear my mind, open the space for spirit to come close. There's some sadness coming in with this one. She's saying, "Sister." She happened to pass at an earlier age than expected. This feels like mid-30s, early 40s. She's saying it was a bike accident. Lovingly, she is admitting that the two of you didn't always get along. There was some clashing there. Sibling drama. She is self-admitting that she had a very driven, impulsive personality. And to lighten the mood, she's showing me a little koala stuffed animal that was also like a clip. And she's also showing me dog food in a bowl, which I'm going to interpret that as you two would argue over who would feed the dog that day. You two didn't like the smell of the dog food, so you would argue over who had to deal with it that day. She's sharing with me how she admired it feels like variety in life, how Yeah, she's saying that you're just so good at so many different things, and it's almost hard to define you. And she's coming in now just cherishing that aspect of your personality. Let me see. Her message for you tonight. She's bringing up drama again. It feels like you have a hard time dealing with conflict. And she's suggesting that you do meditation, inner work to fortify who you are so that your emotions aren't so easily influenced by external sources. And she's like, that's not a criticism. She knows you well. This is meant as encouragement. Yeah, hang in there and support yourself through what it is that you're navigating right now. And she's saying, when possible, try to get outside of that situation. Don't carry it with you when it's not actually happening in the room at the moment. Make sure to change environments, change mindsets, get out of it, get some breathing space, is what she's suggesting. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that. If this message connects for you, I am so glad that it has found you, because there's a lot of support and love coming through from your sister today. And I hope that this message finds you well and things smooth over quickly for you. Thank you. And with that, dear listener, we have reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you enjoyed my spirit work this evening, as well as those tales of haunted hospitals. Did you ever encounter a ghost during a hospital trip? I would love to hear about it, so please reach out. In the meantime, wherever you wander off to, in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.